Stanley. All right, it's 10:51 p.m. It's still September the 16th. I wanted to do a quick video breakdown on GBPNZD. I think I'll start sending you guys videos instead of like the charts just because it's easier, I guess, for you guys to just understand the video, the walkthrough of what I'm doing and what we're looking at, okay? So we're going to mark up our chart like I normally mark up my chart. We're going to go to our monthly time frame. We're going to mark last month's high, last month's low, and 50% of last month's candle. If we look at our monthly chart, we can see that currently this month is still trading inside of last month's candle range, and price is sitting right here at our monthly 50%. All right, and then we're going to come to our weekly here, and we are going to mark up last week's high, last week's low, and 50% of last week's range. And as we can see, 50% of last week's range and 50% of last month's range is the exact same area, okay? And then we're going to come down here to our daily. And what I see here on my daily is a flag pattern, right? So we have our pole here, and then we have our correction, and then eventually we'll want to look for an impulse for price to buy up. But this is our daily time form. It could take a while for this flag pattern to play out here. Also, what I see when we zoom in here, we can see that yesterday came and rejected from our fair value gap here. This is what pushed price down right here. And as you can see, price came right to it and then traded down and left us with a pin bar candlestick, right? So this is what was giving us our bearish signal. Now it looks like today, this is today's candle, technically tomorrow, right? We know Asian session starts the next day candle, and it looks like price is coming back up. Now this 50% here is going to tell us if we are buying or if we are selling. So let's come down to our 4-hour time frame. Here on our 4-hour, I have my trend line drawn here, right? You just need 2 points of rejection here. And we got 1, 2, 3 points of rejection off this trend line. Now price broke through it and retested it. And what we would expect to see is for price to continue lower. But it looks like price is having a hard time leaving this area here. So now we're going to come up to our 4-hour time frame. All right, and this here is our daily fair value gap that led price down. Now we have this hourly fair value gap here that price came and rejected here during swap. If you look down at the bottom of the chart, you'll see it says 5 p.m. So this happened during swap. All right, and then Asia session came and price brought back up to this fair value gap here. It rejected it again, but we can't seem to get underneath our 50% area here. So now we're going to come down to our, well, actually, there was another thing that I want to show you guys. If we zoom out here, we have an inverted head and shoulders pattern. So this is our left shoulder. This is our head. And this is our right shoulder. And we can see that price came back and retested our neckline of our head and shoulders pattern. And then price brought up here to our daily fair value gap. Now price is creating higher highs. This is our higher high because this is higher than this one. This is internal structure. Okay, so this is our higher high. This is our higher low. This is our higher high. And this is possibly our next higher low to go to a higher high. So I say we're looking for sales, but that's only if price comes and breaks underneath this structure here, okay? and then we can look for sales down to the next zone. And our next zone is here with this fair value gap right here. All right. Now, if price does not sell, right, and we continue higher, what we're going to have to wait on is for price to get back on top of this trend line and now back on top of this fair value gap here. Although this is a 30 pip range, we don't know, right, if price comes, once price, comes on the other side of this trend line here, retest, we don't know if price is going to reject this daily fair value gap again and then decide to come back under this trend line. So before we buy, we have to wait for price to give us a new high. It's going to break this higher time frame trend line and come back and break this fair value gap here and then retest, and then we can take it up to last week's high. All right, so that's your GBPNZD. I currently don't see anything else. EU, I want to see EU come back into this fair value gap here before it continues its buy. And then if it sells, right, this fair value gap is my point of interest right here. So I'm either looking for this or this. Okay. All right, UJ probably can give you a short-term buy. See, this is only 20 pips. I would only take it back to our last zone. I wouldn't look to take it any higher. So Wednesdays is normally one of those days where I just sit out of the market because on Tuesdays, we normally get our nice impulsive moves. And then Wednesday, we're looking for some type of retracement. And then Thursday to get in and finish that move. So here on Euro GBP, this is last week's low, last week's high, and this week the monthly and the weekly zone must be in the same area here. I'm gonna double check. Nope. Actually, we're gonna delete Euro GBP. My markup, if you look, my red lines, that's last. So let's just remark that up. I didn't even mark that up right. So let's see what's going on with Euro GBP. I saw that nice impulsive move. Let's see if we are going to get some correction tomorrow and then continuation on Thursday. So we've ran last week's low and last week's high. Okay. Today gave us a nice impulsive move up. I am going to mark a trend line here. All right, so price is at a trend line here. I'm going to put price in a wedge here. Here. All right, now we can zoom out and we see that prices in this wedge is traded in between these trend lines. So Euro GBP is currently at the top of the trend line. It has ran last week's high. This may be a trade to catch right here, back to our 50% area here. 26 pips, 50% of last week's zone. All right. So what we're going to look for here, we have this hourly fair value gap right here on our last week's range. Just going to mark this gap up here. And what you're going to do is go down to the 15-minute time frame. You're going to wait for a break, a retest, rejection. You get in on that candle after rejection, and then you can take it down to this area here, which is 50% of last week's range. Let me find y'all a quick all right. So this is a break, right? And this is a retest here. So price came through, price retested it, and then price rejected it, okay? You could have entered here, right? And then stop loss above the candle that gave you the gap. You see price never came back to stop loss, and the price came down to TP. So it hit TP before moving up, okay? This is also another retest, right? This is a small head and shoulders. Here's a shoulder, left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Also, we have an evening star candlestick pattern here. You could have sold at the bottom of that evening star, stop loss at the top of that evening star. Price came back, touched it again, and then you had your TP. Okay, so we talked about our candlestick patterns and we talked about rejection on YouTube. If you don't know what you're looking for, just go back to the YouTube channel and go through the candlestick Bible videos, okay? So Euro GBP is a nice one. It's not much pips, but it's something. Then everything else had a nice impulsive move today. So we are gonna just leave the market be, and we'll be back on Thursday. All right, guys, I think that's it. Happy trading. You trade tomorrow.